Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, where the topic is building the business case for Enterprise Agile. My name is Doug Welsby, and I'm the Partner Channel Manager here at Microsoft. I'm also joined by my colleague, Jose Levy, our Practice Director of Azure Cloud Services and Agile PPM, and our special guest, Richard Brenchley, Vice President at Wovex. Wovex provides end-to-end software and services with the method and capability to drive benefits realization at scale and pace. During today's webinar, attendees will be on mute and the line will not be open for questions. However, feel free to use the GoToWebinar question feature to submit questions. I'll address these during the webinar and will respond via email if we do not get to your specific question. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away from the webinar, no need to worry, as I'll be emailing a link to the presentation once it has been posted to our YouTube channel. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jose.
Thank you, Doug, and thanks everyone for joining us today for building the business case for Enterprise Agile. I'm excited to have with us our partner Wovex that focuses on benefits realization management and their solution for defining and tracking benefits. So let's get into our topic. So we're going to get into and talk about why do we really need to create a business case for Enterprise Agile and lean portfolio management transformation specifically, and how do we articulate those benefits and costs. We'll get and turn it over to our partner Wovex, who will get much deeper into the topic through a better approach that we believe can support your organization in going through the transformation, and then we'll wrap it up. So what's the real compelling reason to act? So most organizations today are working in agile methods. So you might be in a situation where you have teams that are working both in agile and waterfall. It's in the news and in trends in terms of business agility. Leadership is reading about it. In fact, in this picture kind of highlights what would normally happen in a discussion of this sort. You have the case being made for Enterprise Agile, Scale Agile framework transformation. You have folks all over the room kind of looking at, how are we going to do this? What is this? When you have teams working in agile methods, typically what will happen is the organization is reaching what's called a tipping point, and it's actually, this is a defined term within Scale Agile. There's a burning product platform that needs improvement. We need to make it better, faster. Our customers are asking us to improve the solution. They want to receive value from it quicker, or the reverse, we're losing customers because we're not addressing their needs. The market's very competitive. The other is that there's visionary leadership, which means that someone in the organization at some decision level had success from doing Enterprise Agile previously. So all of a sudden there's interest in doing the transformation. So you've reached that tipping point, and there's folks in the room asking each other. You can see some folks here, what are they talking about? There's other folks looking with deers and headlights you see here. But in the end, you're going to be in a position to advocate for doing a scaled agile framework implementation. And we advocate that you start with lean portfolio management. You reach that tipping point and you go and look into the scale agile framework, and there's the implementation roadmap, which is very good in terms of highlighting everything that we have to do to get started with a safe transformation. And here you can see that you reach your tipping point and you have the first activities that need to happen with leading safe, which is really an orientation made for leadership, for them to understand the benefits. Now this is, you'll present this, but then the next step is you will be asked, can you justify this? What are the results that we're going to get from going through this? And Scale Agile does a good job at defining the benefits and business results from all the case studies of organizations that have done this. But in your case, you're going to be asked, how are we going to benefit? This is how everyone else has benefited. So you're going to have to prepare that business case. You're going to have to take that economic view and articulate exactly how it is that we are going to get, in this case, time to market, quality, productivity, engagement. How is your organization specifically going to have to do that? How are you going to achieve that from the transformation? And that's where the ask from the leadership usually is, what are the costs and what are the benefits? Okay, fairly standard. We've all been putting together proposals and business cases for the longest time. And you know, the term business case actually has been around for a while. While preparing for this, I did a quick research, and you can actually see that there's close to 6 billion search items in Google for business case. And the business case is really a way of articulating the value, defining the costs and the benefits, establishing the priority against anything else that we're doing, using criteria as, what are the objectives? What are we trying to accomplish? What are the benefits that we're trying to get out of it? So again, you have putting together a proposal. You're trying to get to that leadership to say yes. You're going to define within that business case the KPIs that determine what the expected outcomes are and what we're going to realize. What are we going to do? What are we going to get out of making this investment? So the traditional business case, fairly standard. We've all seen it. Again, there's billions of templates, billions of sightings of how you can develop a business case. It's a topic that's been around in business for quite a while. By the way, I want to state that what I'm referencing here is a commercial business case for profit. There are business cases for government and for not-profit enterprises. So I will be referencing here, commercial business cases, but there's other ways of trying to derive the KPIs and expected outcomes from not-for-profit enterprises. So we have new thinking in terms of a safe lean business case, which I want to highlight that even though it's new ways of thinking, we're still talking about developing some measures of return and anticipated business impact. So even though we might be looking at lean, we're still trying to address what we're going to get out of making this investment, out of making this change within the organization. So in the end, leadership speaks in the language of profit equals revenue minus cost, which means that you need to define top business impact, top line business impact, and bottom line business impact. So your business case for your safe transformation is going to have, are we going to get higher customer revenue? Are we going to have improvement in cash flow that generates some level of benefit? In terms of bottom line, are we going to reduce cost? Are we going to reduce loss? Are we going to have some kind of productivity gain that's going to lower our costs, our operating costs? And you're going to have to come up with that financial summary and cash flow table. The strongest change initiatives go through this process and define it. And it has to be fairly accurate. You can't just make up numbers. In fact, this is actually a total economic impact of portfolio management that was done some years ago. And you can see that it's very favorable, but highly questionable in terms of all the benefits. I mean, can your organization actually achieve that? So it has to be believable. And you're going to have to explain it. You're going to have to explain to your leadership exactly how you're going to get that top line business impact and bottom line business impact. So you'll go through and translate that economic view and those benefits that are within the Scale Agile framework into your proposal for portfolio management, lean portfolio management transformation. And you have to, again, get to the bottom line. What's my profit, revenue minus cost? So with all that being said, can you actually achieve this articulation with so many unknowns and so much change that the organization has to go through, because in the end, we are changing the way we work when we talk about scaled agile, enterprise agile. So what if there was a better way to articulate the cost and benefit from a safe transformation? That's really what we want to jump into now, and what Wovex is going to help us with. Can we articulate everything that we need to do and everything that we're going to get from entering into this change initiative in the organization? So what we're proposing is that what we really need is a benefit map for lean portfolio management. So we're going to go through in the next part of the webinar and talk about the benefit canvas that Wovex has created, which is really a modification to the business model canvas that everybody knows. And you can see that it's a easy way to start the dialogue on what exactly we are going to get from doing a change initiative, in this case, a lean portfolio management initiative. I'm going to turn it over to Richard, my colleague, in a second, who's going to walk us through this in detail. But you can see here that what we're trying to do is logically define all of the elements that are going to be required for us to achieve that objective. And in Scale Agile, as you know, there's objectives and key results that are strategic themes. So that's where we would begin to define what we're going to get. There's measures of success. So this is where our results are going to be tracked, our KPIs for our objectives. We can see everything in between that's going to be done, the value of the work that's going to be done, the actual initiatives of the program of work that we're going to be initiating, and then everything else that support it, the key assumptions and risk, our key measures, metrics that demonstrate our progress, and then the key stakeholders. So let's go a little deeper into a benefit map for lean portfolio management and how we can actually do this, not only for this change initiative, but really for any change initiative of this magnitude and complexity. So I will turn it over now to Richard, who will walk us through the process.
Hi, everybody. I was about to say good afternoon, but it's pretty good morning for most of you. I'm based in the UK, and it's good to be chatting with you today. As a partner of Microsoft, so just keen to get a little bit of background. So, Wovex, we've been doing benefits management, value management for the last 10 years. Our software is used around the world by large global organizations, and we provide a range of services depending on the size of change initiative that the client is running. We've developed an approach around enterprise benefits management. So this is benefits management for bigger organizations, and I think that's typically going to be relevant to you guys. And I'm keen just to share some of the key parts of that approach with you. So it's a model that describes a benefit journey, and it comes in 4 significant stages. The first is around understanding what it is we're going to do and why we're going to do it, and that's really the focus of today, looking at benefits maps. The journey then takes us through the stages of gathering information as we're transitioning to lean agile, and creating a single source of the truth. So we've got a good base of performance information that we can then start driving the information and insights, and particularly from our point of view, looking at a business case, it's demonstrating that what that money was made available for at the beginning is actually being delivered. And with that, we can start to inform and contribute to the strategic success of the organization. So keen just to share a little bit about how the value builds. So you can follow that through from the business case into the real situation. So to start with, what we're going to look at in a minute is how do we capture what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and is the work that we're doing, the money that we're asking for software, the money that we're asking for change, the money that we're asking for training, for argument's sake, is that aligned with strategy? And have we got the right KPIs to show that we're actively on that journey and give senior management confidence that they're going to get the benefits that they're expecting? And that's the key focus of this session. As you can see, as you progress through the different stages of the journey, certainly when you get to the third chevron, the light blue, that we're into decision support around performance, we're integrating with business as usual. This is Lean Agile landed in the organization, making the impact that we said it would right from the beginning. At the bottom of the chevrons, that this describes in a bit of detail the capability that Wovex provide. You can read this in the slides afterwards. I'm sort of keen to get into mapping now and to show you what the software does and how we think it can help. I thought it'd be useful just to have a quick run through benefits maps and how they work. I'm sure many of you are familiar, but no harm in making sure everyone's up to speed. The logic of the maps is that they actually start with the objective. What is it that the business wants to achieve? So we're sort of over on the right-hand side of a map. And the example I'm using here is around Lean Agile. So we might say, right, we want to accelerate sales in our organization. That's what the bosses have said. And we want to do that because we want to increase revenue. So then we start to think about what benefit do I need to deliver to get that objective met. And so we may identify time to market as a key benefit, and we might measure that through release velocity. Working to the left, right, okay, what is it that we need to do? What do we need to achieve? And so that might be our Lean Agile framework. And one of the outcomes of that we can expect is improved software quality, so there's far less rework, so it increases our velocities, so we increase the revenue of the business. So now we're looking at what is it we need to deliver? What's the tangible thing that we're going to deliver? And that, in this case, is Lean Center of Excellence. And right over on the left, we look about what capability do we need to deliver that. So this could, and this is where your money and time, emotion is being spent. I've got to buy tools, I've got to undertake training, I've got to work on the culture of the organization because this is a shift in mindset. And once we've got this structure, we can either go from right to left or left to right and say, does this all line up? And that's a key part of mapping. So I'm now going to scroll over to a map. So you can see the structure that we just looked at: objective, benefits and measures, support and outcomes, initiatives, capabilities. The map I'm sharing is one we've developed for COVID-19 in the UK to help the UK government and their business cases. So it's not a Lean Agile map. We have one that we can share with you separately, but this is very much around business cases. So the key things to think about with the map is the objectives, which are normally set by the organization. That's in the strategy document, the annual report, what have you. And over here, what it is that Scale Agile can deliver. In this case, it's COVID-19 related, but it's in particular to think about what are the outcomes and what are the benefits. How do I link what I'm going to do, what I'm going to deliver with the benefits and the objectives that the guys at the top who are going to sign off my business case care about? So how might the map help you? Well, the Wovex map has some really nice features that allow you to look at how well connected and what sort of contribution that you're getting from your change over here with COVID-19 in this case. So if I look at community health, which is one of the outcomes we want from improving our exit from COVID, I can see that community health is linked to all of my initiatives, and that's really what I want. I want to get a contribution from everything to this key initiative. Interestingly, if I look at resilience of my organization, I can already see at this stage that actually only a couple of my change initiatives contribute to that. So already this relatively basic benefits map is starting to allow me to tell some stories. I might also see that if I look at the initiative to upgrade ICT infrastructure, that supports every objective of the business. So this is clearly an influential change initiative. And if I look at the awareness campaign, actually what I see is that's got quite a narrow contribution. So quickly I can start to look at what's influential, what makes a difference. The mapping software has some really nice features when you get into the detail of the business case, where you've got to start to present real benefits numbers, real cost numbers. So you can attach measures to each of the outcomes and benefits. I'm just going to zoom in because it might be quite small on your screen. So where we have a benefit of increased adoption of, say, social distancing, that we can assign a measure that says, right, I can measure the change, that change in behavior. That's something I can measure. I can prove that, and I can prove the contribution to community health. In the same way that I might say, well, I need citizens to understand and be aware of why social distancing is important, and I can measure that also through surveys. So we're starting to put some numbers, some KPIs behind what we're doing and why. We're also able, with our benefits maps, to understand contribution to success. So again, I'm just going to zoom in to have a look. So what this tells us is that if we have some, community health, for example, that a third of the contribution to community health comes from increased adoption of government policy. But we can also see another third contribution comes from working from home, and that the final third comes from reduced travel time. So this is people not generating so much pollution. So we can start to see which of these activities contributes to which of these outcomes. And what that allows us to do with the Wovex software is to be able to measure the contribution. And so this is really key for producing business cases. So again, to show you what we're looking at here is, if we say department success, so the end goal, we set that at 100%, we can start to look at our change initiatives and understand how much they contribute. So this is a key thing to know in putting the business case together. So my awareness campaign, less than 4%, but working from anywhere is just over 30%. So that's really important. Training program, again, low, 4 and a bit percent. New digital services, 15, and upgrade the ICT infrastructure is nearly half of the contribution. So by putting the percentage contributions into the model, we can see that really of these 5 initiatives, it's really upgrade ICT infrastructure, digital services, and work from anywhere that our business case needs to focus on, because that's where most of the benefit comes from. And when we know that, we might look at upgrade the ICT infrastructure. Oh, doesn't this work? And so, well, if this is half of all of my contribution, what is this that this is linked to? What do I need to be thinking about here? And I can come back to my measures. So these are pretty key for me to measure, because that's half my benefit. But also we have the function of sharing the options for how you might deliver this initiative. So in this case, it's a case of, do you want to do a little bit restricted? Do you want to go to cities? Do you want to go to towns? Do you want to go to rural areas in upgrading the infrastructure? And because this is so important, we might very well want to go to cities, towns, and the rural areas, because it's the main driver of benefit for our business case. So those are the highlights of what you can do with the Wovex benefits maps and how that relates specifically to pulling your initial business case together. What I also wanted to share with you was a view of our performance management software, which works with the maps. So here's a map in the performance management software. You'll see the structure's the same. And what the performance software does is allow us to demonstrate, once the business case has been signed off and we're running our sprints, that we're actually delivering the value that we said we would. And the software follows a logical approach, which is, we capture the business case here, typically through the map, but we could just enter it in straight into the system. We start to profile our value in here, gather data, and then we're able to start publishing information. And so for the sake of this webinar, I'm keen to sort of take you through to, so what does this look like? How does this help? So one of the things that we're able to do is to start to produce benefits dashboards. So this is to see the performance of how our outcomes and our benefits are actually rolling out in the organization and the improvements that they're delivering. So you'll see over here in the dashboard, descriptions of different measures. There's financial and non-financial. There's customer satisfaction. So there's a blend of measures. You can see how different parts of the business are performing, and you can get a sense of not only where they are from a RAG status in this reporting period, but you can also see what the trend is over time. Importantly, the system picks up from the same process of entering the numbers that a narrative's entered. So senior management can look at the dashboard, but also be drawn to what the key achievements are, and where there are issues, what are the actions recommended that should be taken. And where you have a red, then as with normal dashboard, you're able to drill down. I opened this one up earlier. So you can see the actual performance of this particular measure. So you can understand where you started in the baseline, where you were hoping to get to, the forecast, but also you can see the actual here, which is not meeting that forecast. And then, there's an array of other information available in here about stakeholders, other measures that are impacted, project information that's coming from Microsoft projects, so that's been imported, so that can be tracked. So this is a very helpful working level dashboard. There's a couple of others that clients find really helpful. So one is the board report, which rolls up the numbers we were just looking at. So instead of splitting them out by different departments, it says, what are they like for the whole of our organization? The trend is displayed again, the narrative about what's happened and, if necessary, what needs to be done, and also a look to the future to tell the board, this is what we think the future view is for the business. And ultimately, as Jose said, if the numbers don't work, then really, I guess, what's the point, to be blunt? And so there's financial capability within the software that flows through from the maps that allows you to present to senior management the numbers associated with the change initiative that you've undertaken. There are some other features in here that just broadly highlight that the software is around action, it's around management. So it's possible for automatic alerts to be sent out to the key decision makers if performance is either beyond a control limit or trending in that way if the forecast says it will be, and also for those actions to be tracked. And there's a raft of other benefits capabilities that possibly less important for this audience. So that's a quick canter through. The key thing to keep in mind is the power of this benefits map and the ability to show that what you might do. Actually, this is what I wanted to share. So this is the start of a lean agile map, and so the ability to be able to show how establishing your lean agile center of excellence contributes to the objectives of the business. And this is the guts of how it would help your business case. So Jose, that's me, I think, and I can return you to the end of the demonstration slide.
Great, Richard. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll go through and wrap up slides to finish our webinar. So as Richard showed us, taking an economic view to lean portfolio management requires a solid business case. We feel that the standard business case approach is not enough to articulate the program of change. There's, especially since we're talking about new concepts that management is not really that familiar with, we're going to have to be very specific in terms of identifying what is the change and how we actually achieve that change and what are the benefits. From a costing standpoint, that is probably easier to identify because there's coaching, consulting, solution tooling, new training for all of our teams that are going to participate up and down the entire organization, because this actually, from lean portfolio management all the way to program management within SAFE, the entire organization is going to be changed. So having a better picture of that business case through a benefit map, you're going to have an easier time at articulating the benefits and trying to get approval for your enterprise agile transformation. That's really what we want to help you with in defining that benefit meta, and obviously as a scale agile partner, which we are now, achieve that enterprise agile transformation. So in closing, for those of you that don't know, Wickersoft is a global partner from Microsoft. We are the current partner of the year for project and portfolio management. We have, as you can see, a number of certifications, gold partner certifications. We have 7,000 global employees, and in the PPM space, close to 300. And we are helping customers, clients globally, to boost productivity and improve business agility, and scale agile in particular, with the focus on business agility, as well as building modern workplace through the Microsoft stack. We focus on advisory solution and operations as a way of delivering that value to you. And you can see here the areas that we participate in that value delivery with you. Adoption management, strategy planning, and transformation. That's our advisory side. Our solutions, which you've seen before, in terms of our OnePlan solution and everything that we bring to the table for the Microsoft platform, focus on project and portfolio management. modern workplace and Azure, as well as post-implementation in terms of managed delivery and services that we can provide, IT infrastructure and training and support, specifically within the project and portfolio management space. We have a broad set of technical consulting and advisory services. So starting with our implementation services, we have a variety of different options for you in terms of what we offer to deliver that solution. That is supported by our education and training, which again is based on your specific requirements, as well as some offerings that we have ready to go. We don't leave you, we support you through the adoption process, and there's several mechanisms for providing that level of support. And then finally, our continued advisory services that we can provide through our consulting upfront, our PMO staffing, and PMO as a service if needed. In terms of our solutions, if you have not tried OnePlan for adaptive portfolio management, we encourage you to go to AppSource. It's a solution that allows you to incorporate the Microsoft platform in an adaptive way. In other words, you can combine Agile and waterfall projects and drive that lean portfolio management, safe transformation that we were talking about through the webinar. And in terms of next steps, we encourage you to make contact with us in order to go over an implementation roadmap for lean portfolio management. We'll go in and walk through step by step in terms of what is required and what could be required for your specific organization and context. Every organization has their own unique needs, although most requirements have already been discovered. Your specific requirements have to be identified, and the best way of driving that adoption. As our partner Wovex showed, benefit maps have a lot of value, and for defining that business case for lean portfolio management, be more than happy to give you a walkthrough of how we could define your benefit map for your agile transformation. And then finally, in terms of tooling, we have OnePlan for lean portfolio management, which can connect the top-down planning from a lean portfolio management standpoint with team agile work that's occurring within your organization in any tool, whether it's Azure DevOps, Jira, or any other team platform. So with that, I want to thank you, and please look for our future webinars on project portfolio management and lean portfolio management. And again, please make contact to go deeper into any of the topics that we discussed today in the webinar. Thank you very much.